50-year mortgages are here, which absolutely blows my mind to say, because 50 years from now, I don't know what Earth will look like in 50 years. It just blows my mind. But Trump has announced that he wants people to be able to have 50-year mortgages so that it can help solve the real estate market crisis that we are having right now. Now, I call it a crisis, but in reality, it's just really unaffordable right now for younger people to actually buy homes, which is hurting the real estate market. Most people that are buying houses are actually older generations that are just doing it for either investments or they're downsizing. So we don't really know what is happening with the real estate market. I know rates have gone down some. I know Zillow's buying. I know all these different investment type firms are buying single family type houses and then jacking the prices up and then reselling them. And the real estate market is absolutely just up and down every single day. But 50-year mortgages could actually change that. Now, when I first heard about it, I thought it was insane. I know Dave Ramsey probably fell on the ground dying of a heart attack because he does not like 50-year mortgages. He don't like 30-year mortgages. He wants 15-year mortgages, and he wants you to put 20% down at least. So, with that being said, stick around because I might have a different opinion than what other financial people are actually saying. So, my initial reaction to 50-year mortgages was like, that is absolutely crazy. Why would anyone do that? You are basically signing your mortgage when you're born, because you're going to be retired almost by the time your mortgage is paid for, or you're going to have your grandchildren or your children go on there and sign with you so that you can actually get a mortgage, which is just sad to say, because I already thought 30 years was a long time, but 50 years is insane. 50 years is wild because people usually only work a full-time job for 40 to 45 years. So to have to work for 50, 55, 60 maybe, especially if you do like some kind of cash out refi or I don't know. It's just crazy to think about. 50 years is a long time. But the more I think about it, the more I could actually see how it could be beneficial, because as of right now, it is expensive to get in a house. It is super expensive. And if you buy just the median house in the United States, your average mortgage is going to be around $3,400. So that's about a $400,000 to $450,000 house. And the average mortgage is probably going to be around $3,300 to $3,500 after insurance, property taxes, all that stuff. So $3,300 to $3,500 is insane. But that's on a 30-year note. If you were able to get a 50-year note, you might be looking at closer to about $2,600, $2,700. It might be a little bit, up and down, depending on the rate that you get. But it could be anywhere from $25,000 to $3,000 instead of, $32,000 to $36,000. So you could be saving a decent amount of money. But the kicker is it's basically all going to interest for a long, long time. You're not going to be putting anything down towards the principal. But where it gets interesting to think about is if you just want to get your foot in the door, a 50-year mortgage is not a terrible idea, because if you have discipline, if you have self-discipline, you could start throwing a lot more towards that principal, which would actually knock the amount down over time that you have to pay. Your interest would go down because the more you throw at the principal, the less interest you're going to pay, obviously. That's the whole debate already between 15 and 30 years. So a 50-year, you'd be able to get your foot in the door because you would have to you wouldn't have to have as much income in order to qualify for those type of loans, since the payment is actually lower than what you would need on a 30 or a 15. But 50-year, say you're like, hey, I actually make the amount gross income that I need to qualify for a 50-year, not a 30, but a 50-year. And then I get my foot in the door, and then I can do what I want. So I don't have to necessarily pay more money in my mortgage payment every single month, even though you're going to be paying more interest in the long run. But it gives you the freedom to be able to use the extra money that you have, that you would have to spend on a 30-year. You'd be able to spend it now on a 50-year and just throw that extra cash towards the principal. Now, where it gets sticky is if you say, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to qualify for a 50, and then I'm going to throw an extra $400 or $500 a month in the principal so that it basically I'm going to knock down half the loan, and it's basically like I have a 30-year note. Yeah, you can do that theoretically. Theoretically, you can do that. But where it gets sticky is if you don't have the self-discipline or you don't do what you say you're going to do. And then you're like, yeah, I'm definitely going to throw more at the principal. And then it's, well, I don't want to do it this month because I want to take that money and go on vacation. Or I'm going to take that money and go to some restaurants. Or I'm going to take that money and go buy myself a PlayStation. Or, why would I do that? I could go get a car right now and then just throw that extra cash that I was going to do on a 30-year and put it right towards a car loan. That's where it gets sticky, because if you don't have the self-discipline to actually put that money towards the principal that needs to be going towards the principal to knock off the time of the loan, which is in turn going to save you hundreds of thousands, or if not millions in this case, on a 50-year note with interest, then you're just going to do bad. And then that's not a good reason to get a 50-year note. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? This is an interesting topic because part of me is like, yeah, I think younger people should get into houses faster than what they already are, because a lot of times people aren't buying their first house until the age of 40. Like if your average age is 40, I think real estate is one of the truest ways that you can actually get to millionaire status, create wealth, become millionaires, become financially free, is by the time you retire, you should have a paid off house. But if you're not getting into a house until you're 40, then you're still going to have to work all the way up until you're 70, 80 before your mortgage is actually paid off. And then at that point, it's like you're just doing yourself harm, because you should be able to relax at that point in your time. You should be able, of your life, you should be able to relax. You should be able to enjoy your time, do what you want to do, especially because at that point, you really don't have a lot of time left here on earth before you go and see God. So yeah, it's just an interesting topic. So I want to know what you guys think below. Would you guys ever get a 50-year mortgage? Would you ever get a 50-year mortgage? And if you did get a 50-year mortgage, what would be your plan to pay off your mortgage? Would you attack the principal really hard? Or would you just say, hey, I'm going to wait 50 years and by the time it's done, it's done? Now, another thing that could be interesting is if the dollar keeps collapsing like it is, it's going to be a really good investment to get into housing, obviously, because it's an asset that's going to keep growing and going up. So if you can get a 50-year note at the dollar amount now, in 50 years, that house is going to be worth so much more money that it's going to help eat up inflation and keep you staying ahead compared to just paying cash. So it's just a big, big question, but I want to know what you guys think. Would you guys get a 50-year mortgage? Would you not? And if you do, say why. And if you don't think it's a good idea, tell me another reason. I don't know. But hit that like, hit that subscribe, because I go over all things personal finance, from credit cards to debt to calculating your income, mortgages, you name it, I'm going to talk about it. And if you want a video in the future about a topic that you have in mind, put it in the comment section. But remember, guys, until next time, you can do all things through him that give you strength. Peace.